It's not that bad.
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to episode 93 of the Horror of Babylon, where we discussed The Exorcist III. I am Ryan, and with me as always is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
And thank you to our patrons, Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben,
the Fourth,
Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain.
She makes it rain, yo! And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at shop.4horsemencomics.com, but you can no longer visit the campus store on the Georgetown University campus. It has closed, and it will never ever be reopened. The chain link thing that you pull down in front of the mall entrance, they boarded it up with like a bunch of rosaries, and you can't get in. I don't know what's up. All right, trigger warning: snakes.
Yeah, if you really hate snakes. Decapitations, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't really, all the decapitations are really just sort of implied.
There's a lot of extremely graphic murders, but they all happen off screen, and they're just like described to you by police officers.
There's nothing like in The Exorcist where we have to go.
Everything.
If you really hate seeing a child like do horrible things to themselves, you know.
Yeah.
That's not in this movie.
Nope. Okay, cool. Our history with The Exorcist III. You're up.
Oh, God, I don't even know how many years ago this was. I saw it before I ever saw The Exorcist II. Honestly, scared me out of my wits. Mostly just the idea of the giant pair of scissors just being able to like easily snap your head off. And I had to Google this because I was sitting there watching it like for the podcast, right? And I go, what in the fuck would those even be used for an autopsy?
Autopsy.
They're not a real thing.
Oh, okay.
Like, why would you have to cut off a head during an autopsy?
If it's an animal that has rabies, they cut off the head.
Yeah, I guess, right? But I was sitting there like, what would this be used for? I was like, maybe it's to crack open rib cages. No, it's just something that Blatty invented because he liked the idea of giant shears cutting off someone's head with like a
yeah, I didn't remember that in the book. Is that in the book?
Only one person gets decapitated. The priest and and
didn't they say they like did it with wire or
no? Because they bring up the shears, and whenever the old lady goes to the detective's house, she doesn't try to cut off his daughter's head in the book, but he finds the pair of shears in her purse. The missing pair of autopsy shears.
Gotcha.
It's one of the changes I like in this movie is if you're going to invent something that, like, outrageous, he kept using it. It was used in every murder.
Yeah.
As opposed to just the one.
Except for Father Dyer.
Yeah.
Remember...
Oh, no, they said he got his head cut off, too.
Well, how'd he get all the blood in those jars?
He cut it off after he emptied them. You get this big monologue where he goes, and you get the head cut off without a single drop of blood, and that's what I call showmanship.
That monologue, I was kind of going in and out because it was so long.
Oh, I love it. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
It's too long. Like, I get it. He's crazy. I remember renting this movie, and I remember, like, little fragments. I remember Kinderman questioning Patient X, whatever he's called in this movie. And I remember the guys rowing on the Potomac. So I saw this, but I like remembered basically none of it. It felt like I was watching it for the first time, because I think I've solved the memory, though. I think what happened was I have a vivid memory of renting Exorcist 2 and 3 when I was a kid. I don't think I watched them. But I did remember that someone from Four Horsemen, like 6 or 7 years ago, actively tried to get me to watch Exorcist 3. And I think I watched it back then and just forgot all of it.
Okay.
So I think I hadn't actually seen Exorcist 2. But I can't be positive.
I also can't be positive. It's one of those movies I think that in about 10 years I'm going to forget everything about.
Exactly.
Except, Darth Vader.
And locusts.
Yeah.
That movie has bugs in it.
Yeah.
And this one has snakes in it.
This one has snakes and decapitations.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
Background. So this film was written and directed by William Peter Blatty. William Peter Blatty. It is, of course, based on his novel Legion, which is the sequel to The Exorcist. The film was released August 17th, 1990, had a budget of $11 million and made $44 million, so 4 times. Yeah. Pretty good. It continues the stories of Lieutenant Kinderman, Father Dyer, and sort of Father Karras. And of course, it does not feature Chris and Regan McNeil, but that's okay, because we got Regan's story in Exorcist 2.
Small piece of trivia for you. When he was like shopping this script around, it was some producer went, okay, you should put Regan in there, and she has twins and they're both possessed.
Oh God.
I was watching that on a dude doing like background stuff, and I guess Mr. Petty Blatty was sitting there like, how about I just make the script that I wrote?
I'm not excited for this movie.
The new one.
The Believer.
Oh, yeah. It looks so... I watched another trailer and what do you call those, like when they do like small preview things? TV spots. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, this might be the worst one.
At least like Exorcist 2 does like a lot of really unique things.
And you get Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm trying to go in there without, preconceived.
Yeah, I don't like judging a movie based on the trailer, which I honestly don't even watch that many trailers these days, but...
You just see more of them when you go to movies.
Yeah, when you see it, I saw it in the theaters, and I did run out once. Which star? I think it was The Last Jedi. I let myself watch the trailer one time, and then I said, I'm never watching this trailer again until I see the movie. And it was at the point where we were at some Marvel movie and it started to play the Last Jedi trailer and I left the theater.
That's pretty great.
Well, I knew I had to watch it once because it would drive me crazy if I didn't.
Yeah.
But I wanted as much of it to be new as possible, so I only watched the trailer one time.
So it's not a bad policy to have if you can do it.
Yeah.
I have somehow managed to avoid the new Saw trailer. So I'll be able to go into that fresh this week.
Yay.
Yeah, it's probably going to be pretty bad.
Yeah, I need to see A Haunting in Venice. I want to see that badly. So William Peter Blatty, he wrote the novel. He wrote the screenplay Initially, he had no desire to write a sequel. He came up with Legion. Yeah.
We covered a lot of this whenever we talked about Legion.
Yeah. Project was in development hell. The novel was published in 1983, and he turned it into a screenplay just after that. So apparently it took like 7 years for this movie to get made.
Yeah, it got made because it became a bestseller.
He offered John Carpenter to be director. Carpenter was interested, but eventually backed out over creative differences.
I get the feeling, and I don't have a lot to back this up on other than his, penchant for lawsuits. That
He was hard to work with.
he's hard to work with. He strikes me as very fickle. Like, he wants the thing to be made the way he intended it.
Well, it's his story, so that's
Yeah.
fair, but... Okay, so this is a quote from John Carpenter's book about why he did not direct this movie.
Okay.
I met with Blatty over the course of a week, perhaps a week and a half. He had director approval, so he was testing and probing me to find out who I was and how smart I was and whether or not I should direct the film. I was ambivalent about the script, primarily because it didn't have an exorcism. Our time together was a lot of fun. We talked about everything. I kept suggesting a third act exorcism and pushing the both of us to come up with some new, exciting, and grotesque devil gags. Blatty was resistant. He wanted to direct it and wanted to stay very close to the novel. I respected Blatty, figured out that he really wanted badly to direct the picture, and felt that I couldn't get what I needed, so I withdrew from The Exorcist III.
Okay, so yeah, I'm right on the nose, basically.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
It's weird, because Legion is not really that much of a sequel to The Exorcist. It's more like a spin-off that he slightly ties into The Exorcist towards the end of the book.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you want to make that book into a movie, of course, all of the studios are going to say, well, you have to make it more like The Exorcist.
And that's what they made him do.
Which I agree with both parties.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you wrote a book and you want to adapt that book to the screen, you're going to want to be as close to your book as possible. But, like, if the movie from your first book made bojillions of dollars, then you can't really be upset when the studio people tell you that you have to make it more like that. Like, I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
Ideally, is if they could have found somebody to figure out a way to put an exorcist scene in here that didn't feel like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, but
But I'm not good enough of a writer to figure that out.
I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, because this is part of the structure of the movie, is we keep cutting away to this character that feels very out of place, and it's because after they saw all the dailies, they're like, we need an exorcist in this film, and they forced him to put it in there.
Yeah.
So it was all shot after the fact and, like, cut into the movie in random intervals to bring you this character that didn't exist before.
Yep.
So.
Father Morning. To be transparent, I didn't like the end of the book, and I did say that, and I did say that I wish this was more like The Exorcism. I wish they built up and had an exorcism at the end of the book. So, on paper, I like the idea of what they did, but it's one of those, this is what I wanted, but this is not how I wanted it.
I do think that the book kind of just sort of ends.
Yeah.
Like, the guy just dies in the book.
There's no climax.
There's no confrontation or like resolution. I do like the idea of Kinderman shooting him. So instead of like an actual exorcism, I'd be like, well, how would a police officer resolve this? You just shoot the dude. You know?
He better not still be on the force. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's how do you resolve this like guy who can seemingly possess people with Alzheimer's?
You shoot him, yeah.
And I'm not a priest, so
yeah.
And then, he has to come to grips and then live with that he maybe had to shoot his best friend.
Since when are they best friends?
Best friend,
No, he said that.
Yeah, he called him.
He said we were best friends for years. I'm like, since when?
Didn't even go to the movies together.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Father Karras liked you at all. I think he was just polite. Yeah. Is this a retcon? Are you delusional? What's going on?
I like to believe it's a retcon, but I think it's funnier to believe he's that delusional. Like, that he has, like... I picture Kinderman as kind of a detective that has a high opinion of himself, and he's good at figuring out who's probably the criminal, but can't tell when people don't like him. That's the personality I've sort of given him in my head.
Well, the truth is that Father Dyer also hates his guts, but he's just He's too nice.
I think it's really funny how they're both like, oh, they get really depressed this time of year, so we're going to go hang out. Blame it on the other one.
Okay, what are some themes that were in Legion that didn't make it into this movie? I think there's a big one.
What's the big one you're thinking of?
And they mention it.
Yeah.
Entirely drop the character who it was their whole thing, and it's the voices of dead people.
I honestly think that's to the movie's benefit because it makes the movie a lot tighter.
I agree.
Which was part of, I think, your problem with Legion was, it was Kinderman just being on a moral grandstanding for a big part of the book, and then you have all of these sidetracks that can make you get lost.
I like this movie. Mm-hmm. I don't love this movie, but I liked it. What I liked about it is it sort of helped me realize that the core story in the novel Legion isn't bad.
Yeah.
But there's just too much other stuff for me to have appreciated the book. Because when you cut away Dr. whatever his name was.
I've been calling him Ozymandias in my head.
M. Fortis. When you cut him away and cut away all the subplots and cut away like all of Kinderman's like internal ramblings and monologues
and the Twin Souls thing,
which
even though it kind of ties into
keeps
the
the Gemini, yeah,
but you can imply that sort of stuff without going on rambles.
The core story of Father Karras's body was possessed by a demon, made its way into an asylum, and has been remotely possessing people who are out of their gourds and using them to commit murders to get the attention of the police and the press.
Great premise.
It's actually like a pretty decent premise and a pretty decent story. I think this is just a situation where the movie's just better than the book.
I honestly agree. I think that this movie is one of those examples where I enjoy it way more. And part of that is the directing, and part of that is how much tighter it feels.
Yeah.
So
I'm still not like a huge fan of Kinderman in this, but I do love George C. Scott. He does a great job, and the character is significantly less annoying than he is in the book. I think the best thing is his chemistry with Ed Flanders, who plays Father Dyer. They just, the way they go off each other.
This movie was surprisingly funny on this rewatch.
Yeah.
And I think that's because when you're reading it, some of the jokes come off as a little dry, but when you get like a seasoned actor like this delivering the lines, you're like, oh, that's how he intended the line to be delivered.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, that's funny.
Yeah, I think George C. Scott was like the perfect actor for this, and I like him better than the person who plays Kinderman in The Exorcist. However, I think if George C. Scott played Kinderman in The Exorcist, it would have been more about him.
Yeah, it would have been, I think it would have distracted me.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they were both the right people to play this character in each movie.
Both movies kind of have that thing where they cut out just enough to make it like a tiny bit tighter. I keep bringing that up. I mean, it's just true.
Yeah. No, you're right. The psychology is walked back a lot because you don't have Dr. Fortis, the neurologist character. The psychiatrist character, Dr. Temple, he has a much reduced role in this,
which I also think is to the film's benefit.
But they still they leave in a little bit of just like how much of a fucking knob he was.
I like how he's rehearsing what to say.
Yeah. I do kind of wish that they would have left in the I couldn't prove that this woman was crazy, so I got up on a ladder and pissed all over her. You'll never believe what she said you did. So we sent her to the nut house. She's crazy. It's just like the worst thing.
It is.
Okay, if you haven't read the book, he's a psychiatrist, and he knew this patient was insane, but he couldn't prove it. So he went into her room, he put like a sheet over top of her, stood up on a ladder and peed all over her, and then he cleaned up the mess and he left. Of course, she reported him. They just assumed she was crazy, and they sent her to the asylum. Just awful. Just like...
It is, and as some of our listeners know, I work in psych, and I've heard people talk like this, to where they're like, oh, I just wish I could, but he actually does it.
Yeah.
So, working in psych for 7 years makes you hear just some of
If one of your patients like said, hey, Carrie came in the other night and took a dump on my chest.
Yeah.
Would you believe them?
Yes. I'd be like, oh, Carrie. I'd actually just walk up to her, hand her some baby wipes and not say anything. So everyone knows that I'd probably be the person like more likely to get blamed for something. There are times I go into report and they're telling me what happened throughout the day, and I just go, I wish everyone was dead but me.
You took that in a different direction. I expected you to take it in a sexual direction, be like, ooh, and then what happens? she first she took a dump on your chest, and then what happened next?
That's funny. Both of those reactions are funny. They're both canon. It's just which timeline you're in.
Yeah, is it Legends or canon?
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's go to characters, and let's start with Kinderman, played by George C. Scott, who is an extremely famous actor. I don't need to give you all of his
pedigree,
all of his credits.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've covered him on in the podcast was he played John Redcorn in Firestarter. I'm sorry, that's not that character's name.
That's what we call him, though.
Charlie. That is not okay.
No. Hold on, you gotta wait for me to stop laughing here.
Charlie, I want to know you.
Charlie Firestarter.
Charlie McGee. Great actor. Definitely, like...
Not a Native American.
No, he is not. He's absolutely not. And he's kind of... I want to say he's kind of an acquired taste because he's such, like, a passionate, like, strong performer. Like...
Well, it's like we talked about the dude from Exorcist II, where he was the one giving it 110%.
Richard Burton.
Yeah. He strikes me as the same type of actor, even though this is a very kind of different role.
Yeah.
But there are that points where he, like, just completely breaks down, and he genuinely feels like he's a cop who's too stressed to be working the case he's on.
He was a Marine.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that. I've already talked a little bit about Kinderman. Definitely one of my least favorite characters that we've talked about here on the podcast, but he was much more palatable in this movie than he was in either of the two novels.
And he was one of my more favorite characters. Mm-hmm. But I feel this movie gets across what I was picturing way better than either of the books or the movie.
Yeah, he came off more as like the grumpy old man cop than like in the book he felt like a legitimate bully who should no longer be on the force. Granted, he also he had good reason, but he also shot a man in a straitjacket 3 times. So hopefully he's no longer still on the force.
Honestly, if I saw half the stuff that he did in this movie, I would have shot him a lot sooner.
I also hope that I would have shot Father Karras in that situation.
I would have been like, nope, I'll go to jail, no risk.
I'm just saying, like, there's no way for him to explain that to his station, so hopefully they took his badge.
You can tell when this movie took place when he breaks a patient's nose and the nurse just dresses the hand up and goes, why'd you hit him?
No, that would
Can't do that
not
today.
be okay, no.
If you even go a percent out of line when it comes to proper holds and CPI in my job these days, you're suspended and you're probably going to lose your job.
Yeah.
I've somehow, after 7 years, have never done an improper hold.
I wish we would have seen the carp.
Yeah. I loved his speech on the carp.
Yeah.
And like the camera's like zooming in and taking it all super seriously, which is how I first pictured in the book. Like when he first brought it up, I thought it was a joke and then it was real. I liked his mother-in-law in this. I thought she was kind of funny.
The only explanation is I'm crazy. Well, at least you're honest.
Yeah.
We got to the diner and he was just like, whoa, who are the Jews running this diner? Or whatever it was she said.
He's a racist. On his test for the lieutenant, he was asked, what is rabies and how would you handle it? Rabies are Jewish priests and I do whatever I can for them. Which is also a line in the book, but it's delivered so much better in this. Because we actually have an actor to deliver.
There was a line in this movie from the Exorcist novel that didn't make it into the Exorcist movie that I was disappointed. Do you know what it is? The you cancel children for 10 years, you become addicted to lemon drops.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
You could smell it on their breath. It's that and weed.
I couldn't remember that was in the book and not in the movie. You know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Ed Flanders plays Father Joseph Dyer. The other thing that we covered on the podcast that he was in was the original Salem's Lot miniseries. Mm-hmm. He plays Bill Norton, Susan's dad. Also, one of those just really accomplished actors with a long list of credits. I think probably the best part of this movie is the repartee between George C. Scott and Ed Flanders.
They play so well off of each other.
Yeah. I would like to see them in obviously it's not going to happen now, but I would love to have seen them in a grumpy old men-esque comedy, or an odd couple-esque comedy like Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon used to do.
I would have put them in the American Shaun of the Dead remake instead of two lazy dudes.
Is there an American Shaun of the Dead remake?
No.
Okay.
No, that would have been it, though.
Okay.
But I would have made them two grumpy old men instead.
Yes, I think that would have been better. That would be good. I would watch that movie. He likes women's fashion magazines instead of
romance novels.
Yeah.
Which seems a little bit more suspicious to me than the romance novels.
I just loved him. I loved Kinderman just telling him to go to India. Isn't there a Jesuit mission in India that you could be working at? And they included my favorite line from the book, although it was a penguin instead of a teddy bear. I found it in the road and I thought it suited you. Here's a piece of garbage. I did miss Kinderman going to the bookstore for Father Dyer, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's a small thing.
Your wife will love these.
That was great. Jason Miller returns as Patient X / the body of Damian Karras. Now I'm confused.
I'm ready to explain it, but you go ahead.
So in the book, this is the only thing that Blatty made explicit in that book, is that it was just Father Karras's body. Mm-hmm. Father Karras was not there.
Yeah.
But Father Karras is apparently still in his body somewhat in this, because he wakes up to say, "Bill, shoot now!"
And the demon wants to torture him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is that just...
It was a change made for the movie. Mm-hmm. And part of the reshoots was adding the Damian Karras actor to the ending. That didn't already... It was just all played by...
Brad Dourif. Yeah.
It was just a recast. Mm-hmm. But the studio was people from the original movie in, and we got to have an exorcism scene in.
I mean, I love Jason Miller, and I'm glad to see him back.
I do think that adds to a little bit of the confusion in the movie.
I completely agree.
And that's, again, a studio stepping on what I think was honestly a tighter version of a book.
Yeah.
I am actually going to, this week, watch the Blatty version is my goal. Mm-hmm. And then see how it compares. I thought maybe I'll do a short on it.
Sure. I'm curious to see it. I don't know if I'll actually commit any time to it. I think it's weird, because if you're selling two versions of a script, this script is a better version of my novel that's not really a sequel to The Exorcist, but is.
Yeah.
This script is also a better version of my novel, but it's worse than the first script, but it's more Exorcist than the other one.
Yeah, so what do you do?
Yeah, obviously the studio's going to say, that one, please.
And to be honest, that probably would have made more money, or did make more money, because that's the one that was released.
Yeah.
But we'll never actually know, because we don't have, timeline machines where we can do
I think, the general audience would go and say, why wasn't there an exorcism?
And I think critics would have liked Blatty's original script more, is what I'm kind of picturing, because that stuff doesn't come out of nowhere.
Apparently this movie had a 57 on Rotten Tomatoes, something like that.
Which was a lot lower than I was expecting.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, because most of the time, granted, this is all just anecdotal, but most of the time when I talk to people and they mention this movie, it's all just I love this movie, this is a great movie, blah, blah, blah.
I think it's because over time it sort of built up that audience.
It does feel like a kind of a cult.
And like the people who like spoilers, I really like this movie. It's in my top 3. So the people who like this movie really like this movie. So that's probably why you hear from them.
It's higher than all of the Alien movies but 2.
Yeah. The 2 good ones.
It is not in my top 10.
Yeah.
But it is not in my bottom 50. It might be. I may be the top end of it.
It's not Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
No.
Not. I'm going to have to start being nicer to Phantoms.
I like this movie. I think this movie is competently made. I have just like a few like little nitpicky things, but it's not going to be in my top 10 because this doesn't like speak to my interests or the things that I like about horror.
And it does to mine.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so
we gotta mention Brad Dourif.
Which
Chucky.
You will know him as Chucky Wormtongue from The Lord of the Rings or super creepy ponytail guy from Alien Resurrection.
I still think he just wandered onto the set of Alien Resurrection.
Ooh, what's going on here?
My headcanon is this is where they first discovered Brad Dourif. He was actually in an asylum.
I'm going to let you talk because I was just extremely confused by everything that occurred in that cell.
I honestly just loved his monologues. I know that you didn't.
I didn't hate them. They were just long.
He just was so unhinged. I don't know how much of this is true. I hear that a lot of that was ad-libbed.
I could see that.
And he was
He just wandered on a set and started talking, and I was just like, turn the camera on.
Like that part where it goes, and he's forced to watch me rip and tear and mutilate the innocent, and he just starts screaming.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I went on a tangent. I loved it.
Okay.
I think that adding the Jason Miller back in there adds to a lot of confusion, because maybe I just have like a higher opinion of the general audience. I believe most of them can accept a recast.
I mean, Kinderman was recast.
Yeah.
Father Dyer was recast.
But we can't have Karras recast for some reason. Well, I guess he was the main character.
He was the main character. Also, I like Jason Miller a lot more than either of the people who played Dyer or Kinderman in the original movie.
Yeah. But I think that adds to even more confusion in that added Exorcist scene.
No, I confused by the two of them like swapping. It would have been less confusing with just a single actor. My headcanon is that they were shooting with Jason Miller and Brad Dourif wandered onto set and he watched Jason Miller do the monologue, and he's like, I can do that better. So he went over to costume, found a straitjacket, and then just kind of rolled onto set, threw himself up on the bench and started yelling.
I bet you he was in that straitjacket every day he was there, even when he didn't need to be, just to be in character.
Hold on, I'm gonna Google if he's a method actor.
He strikes me as a method actor, doesn't he?
Yeah. I'm gonna Google that too.
He is a method actor.
Yes, he is. I also want to find out if he's a meth addict. Hold on, we're going to his wiki.
Look at him though. Wow,
he's a creepy man. Oh, he's also in Mississippi Burning. That is a good movie.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's about the Klan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a good movie with Gene Hackman and Willem Dafoe.
Hackman.
My second favorite. No, probably my second. No, my second or third favorite Lex Luthor. It's hard to say. Next week, top 5 Lex Luthors.
Why is Jesse Eisenberg not on the list?
Well, that's the one I was debating.
Yeah.
Because, Kevin Spacey is my favorite. And then it's probably Gene Hackman at 2. And then Jesse Eisenberg at 3. But then now, because if I take into account the voice actors, I bet it'll change. Okay. Hold on. Control F, drugs. Nope. Okay.
He is not a meth addict.
He's not a meth addict.
He just really sells himself as one.
Yeah. He's crazy. Apparently he's also in the 2007 Halloween movie.
Ugh. Alien Resurrection. There it is. I still need to watch Blue Velvet.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I found that out that's on HBO Max, and I'm like, HBO Max has some like really obscure movies on there.
I guess the last character to talk about is Father Morning, Nick, who was played by Nicole Williamson.
They say his hair turned white because he did an exorcism.
I thought, like, it almost felt like a joke.
We just saw in one of those Wikipedia pages that Linda Blair's in like an Exorcist parody
with Liam Neeson.
Not
with
Liam Neeson.
With Leslie Nielsen.
I want Liam Neeson in an Exorcist movie.
He's the Exorcist, and I have a very particular set of skills.
I will find you. I will exorcise you. He makes you do Pilates until the demon comes out. He does strike me, especially how over the top some of those scenes are. There is some over the top stuff in the Exorcist movie.
Yeah.
But nothing like the demon sticking you to a wall and making your skin melt off. Or summoning snakes.
There's so many snakes in that room, I thought that there should have been a map to the Lost Ark.
Yeah. And making you hallucinate. You know, it was very, I can make this body float. I'm doing stuff to this body.
Yeah, and the rest of the movie is so super serious.
Yeah. That it comes off as like...
Silly.
Yeah. I don't want to like disparage this dude because he was hired to do a job.
No, it's not his fault.
But it's just like it's the studio's fault.
Yeah, it's not Nicole Williamson's fault. You did the best Father Paul Morning that you could do.
It's not even Blatty's fault because he didn't want it in there.
So. Oh, Nicole Williamson, are you on Cameo.com?
There's a Cameo.com.
You don't know about Cameo.com?
No. Is that like after the credits.com?
No, it's where you pay celebrities to do shit for you, like do your voicemail or whatever.
Oh, that's cool. We could get them to do our intro for the
Okay,
podcast.
hold on. Daniel apparently has never heard of Cameo.com, so we're going to Cameo.com. Let's pick an actor, because I've actually thought about doing one of these to pay somebody to do like an intro for our podcast.
That sounds great. I'll pay for that. I have spare money.
Okay, so let's find somebody. Okay, Wayne Knight from Seinfeld, Jurassic Park. The guy we were talking about in our pre-show. So with Newman from Seinfeld, you can get a personal video for $330.
We almost have that.
Let's find somebody else.
I think we need an E-lister.
Okay, here, Elijah Wood. Here we go, Elijah Wood.
Have you seen the Elijah Wood pictures, the Toxic Avenger, yet?
No, I haven't
They
yet.
just released them, I think, yesterday.
You can get a personalized video from Elijah Wood for $340.
I feel like that's more bang for your buck.
Yeah, I mean, that's fucking Frodo Baggins.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean,
he's gonna be in the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
Maybe if we were a Seinfeld podcast, but
Okay, Brian Cox. We can have him do something from The Ring for you.
Okay.
The guy who voices Pumbaa.
Oh god, I didn't realize some of these actors were so hard up.
There's 159 pages of actors. Joel McHale, he's the guy from Community and Ted. He's the douchey guy in Ted.
I've only seen one episode of The Community.
I've seen one or two, but Beck watched the whole thing. So there's kind of a variety of people on here. I know it. Malcolm McDowell.
That'd be a pretty good one.
He's $100.
I feel like we could actually justify that one.
Okay, one more page and then we're done with this.
Weren't we gonna look up if this priest was on here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're on here.
Is one of the two twins, Fred and George from Harry Potter.
Okay.
$125.
Oh, we got the guy from Hide Your Kids, Hide Your Wife. He's $50.
Hercules from the TV show Hercules.
$25. Now
who's that?
This dude.
He's a voice actor from Red Dead Redemption. I don't know who Emily Peachy is, but she's $7. She's kind of cute. Al from Home Improvement, $100. Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold. Andrew Robinson, Garrick from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Some of these are affordable.
He's $50. Ernie Hudson, the fourth Ghostbuster. And Congo.
Now, isn't there a gag with him on, he's on something where he's, like, super cheap. God, what show am I thinking of?
I don't know. What's this guy's name? Nicole Williamson.
Oh, sad face.
You can search by shows and movies, so I'm just going to type in The Exorcist. Okay, so apparently the lady who does the face in the jump scare.
Oh, that wouldn't be too bad.
I don't
She's
know.
only $25?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Billy Blanks, the Thai Bo guy. This girl says The Exorcist in her thing, but The Exorcist, who was... Hold on, now I gotta know who this lady is.
This is almost like our IMDb rabbit hole.
Yeah. The Exorcist TV series. Is that, like, the same...
Is this part of the same universe? Because then we're going to have to watch it at some point.
Let me find the cast and crew and see if they credit William Peter Petty. Yes, inspired by the novel. It's 20 episodes long.
I think that's going to be one of the ones where maybe we do, like, we watch an episode with some drinks, do a short.
I'm looking at the characters' names, and I'm not seeing, like, any relation.
Oh, that reminds me, I have something I'm working on. Do you have a preference on hard liquors?
Not tequila.
Not tequila?
I suppose...
Do you like things that are sweet or...
Yeah.
Hard? Okay, so like wild turkey honey be fine?
Yeah, I literally... I cannot remember the last time I had liquor, but usually it'd be like vodka or rum. Or something.
I told you,
as long as you can mix it.
I'm sneaking you in a flask when we see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Great.
And then I'm letting you do shots through the episode.
Okay, last thing, but I had to punch in Star Wars. So we've got Sam Witwer, who is Darth Maul in Clone Wars and Rebels. Fucking Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian himself, Ahmad Best, Jar Jar fucking Binks, Taylor Gray, who's Ezra from Rebels, Carrie L. Jones, who plays Black Chrysanthemum in Book of Boba Fett, Freddie Prinze Jr., Kanan from Rebels, Jim Cummings. That would be great. Jim Cummings is like, he's Pete.
Voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Well, he's the voice of Winnie the Pooh. He's the voice of Tigger. He is the voice of Darkwing Duck. He's the voice of Pete, as in like Pete the Cat from Mickey Mouse. And he's Hondo Ohnaka in Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels.
I see why he's $225.
Yeah, he's a big deal. Daniel Logan. I've met Daniel Logan.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Why is Horatio Sands listed under Star Wars? That's a little weird.
I am Horatio. Stop.
This guy was one of the Knights of Ren. We could pay him $99 and just be like, hey, why weren't the Knights of Ren as badass as we were led to believe?
Hey, why was your entire subplot cut from The Rise of Skywalker?
They got their asses kicked.
They did, but there was an entire subplot with one of the Doctor Who actors as one of the lead Knights of Ren that was just cut from the movie.
It wasn't in the novel, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So maybe like anytime we cover a movie or a show, we should go to cameo.com and punch that movie in.
You know what? I'm down for that. I'm also down for doing this sometime when we have some thrown away money.
Yeah. Maybe not like a $300
no,
person,
but
like a hundo or under.
Yeah. Definitely a hundo and under, I think, is where we're at.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Keep moving. Scary shit. Scary shit. Is this movie scary?
I think that this movie is very effective as a horror movie. It does have diminishing returns on repeat watchings when you know what's going to happen.
like, I saw this before, but I don't remember it all. So it was kind of like watching it for the first time. Mm-hmm. No, I didn't think it was scary.
I think this movie has, whenever people are like, how do you do an effective jump scare? I think this movie has the one, and it's the one with the nurse where she's in the hallway for a long time.
Oh my god, I hated that.
You have a fake out jump scare, and then she's like talking to the police, and then she walks away, and then you see the dude and like the ghost thing, the scissors, and then it cuts away. You don't even have to see the violence, but it cuts away to the statue.
So that jump scare didn't get me. There is a jump scare in this movie that got me, but it wasn't that one.
Was it the one in the church?
It was Jesus opening his eyes.
Oh, that one's also bad.
Yeah.
I think that this movie does show that Blatty does have kind of an eye for cinematography.
So my couple like small criticisms, one was editing and one was cinematography. The two scenes that bothered me the most was the one where it's all from Kinderman first person as he's going in to see Father Dyer's body.
Yeah.
That grated on me. The other one was the scene with the nurse in the hallway where it frames the hallway and it just stays there.
Oh, I love
forever.
It.
I thought it was annoying.
Oh, I think that's just about perfect.
I guess we'll just have to.
Yeah, we'll just have to disagree on this one.
I mean, it took me out of it because it made me think about the positioning of the camera instead of thinking about the character. I just thought it was annoying. Not so much in the latter part of the movies, but there were a couple scenes like in like the first like 20 minutes where I felt like it was scene jumping so fast. I don't have a specific example, but it was just like,
I know what you mean though.
Yeah, it was just a little weird.
I'm waiting until I watch the Blatty version of this, the Blatty cut.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm wondering if there is stuff that the studio made him cut out there, like maybe some transitional scenes.
Maybe.
Because that was in my notes, was I feel like something's missing here. Because a lot of times when I watch the movies for this podcast, I'm sitting there and I'm actually analyzing, because this is kind of an analytical podcast.
You were more interested in this than I was.
Yeah. To be fair, especially to you, I have a lot more free time on my hands, so...
Yeah, I did watch this while I was working, which always hurts my analysis and my opinion of a movie. I did like it. It is a good movie. It's like a 95% competently made film. Like I said, it doesn't speak to my interests like it does.
And that's
yours.
fine, yeah. You know, and I like it when we have a little bit of cross section on agreeing and disagreeing.
Yeah.
Because then you get kind of both opinions on the spectrum.
But I would never fight anybody that this is a bad movie. It's like a good movie that has like one like really awkward bad thing towards the end.
Yeah.
But that's studio interference, but I also like, if I were in that board meeting, I probably also would have said, yes, put an exorcism in that movie.
You're a producer and you're like, this is the reason the first Exorcist made so much money, because there's an exorcism.
Yeah, even Exorcist II, which is just like outright a bad movie, made a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
Because it was The Exorcist II.
Oh my god, are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz, my king is real easy. May the Schwartz be with you. I couldn't believe he said that.
My king is that the movie was surprisingly funny. A lot of it was like really relatable humor. You had this one dude in a wheelchair that like went up to a nurse and then opened it, and then the nurse just face palms because it's the billionth time it's happened. And working in psych, working in hospitals, happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the little old lady with the radio. Do you see the radio? Yes, it's right there.
It's a phone, you idiot.
I knew you wanted a radio repairman. That's a telephone.
Got him.
I thought those were really funny.
All right, so for my Koontz, I came prepared with two, and I couldn't decide between the two.
You get two.
No, I'm going to make you pick one.
Okay.
Is it the scene in the hallway with the nurse, or is it Brad Dourif's monologues? Those are my two choices for Koontz.
I'll give you a Brad Dourif monologue.
Okay, all right. You heard it from Daniel. All right, your Koontz
is the added exorcism.
Yeah, that's
because it's just even if you don't know a lot about filmmaking, going into this, I feel like you would feel this out of place or feel like it's added.
Yeah, and I knew nothing about the background of this movie, other than it was based on Legion, and I knew it was out of place. It was like this is weird. Not right.
Yeah.
Poor Father Morning. It's not your fault. Morning, Mourning. Rankings. I actually didn't get a chance to do this one ahead of time.
Live ranking.
I do have an idea in my head where it's going to go. Movies. It sounds like you already know where yours is going.
Mm-hmm.
You said it was in your top 3, so let me guess where it goes in your top 3. Okay, so your top 3 currently, from the bottom, is Aliens, The Exorcist, The Ring. I'm going to say it's your number 2.
It is my number 2.
Yeah, I can't get behind this being better than the original, but it's your list.
Yeah, it's my list and I'll cry if I want to.
So this is my new number 37, which is probably... Aside from The Exorcist, this is probably the highest I've ranked anything in a long time. And the first 2 Aliens, but it's right above the Mermaid Saga anime and right below Ring, the first Japanese theatrical film adaptation. Okay, cool. All right, homework. If you were going to jam a random exorcism if you were going to shoehorn an exorcism into a film that didn't have one previously, what would it be and how would you do it?
Okay, so Mace Windu has Palpatine cornered.
Nice.
He's all like, we have to kill him, Anakin, and then Palpatine's all like, no, you will die, and Anakin goes, wait, Windu, he's possessed. So Anakin and Mace Windu perform an emergency exorcism, extracting the demon Pazuzu out of Palpatine, and then they banish him to a galaxy far, far away. Bam, Star Wars is a prequel to The Exorcist.
Can I make one change?
Yes.
Instead of Pazuzu, it's actually Bane, who has been essence jumping down through the lines.
There you go.
Okay, all right.
And then Palpatine has been a really nice dude this whole time. The galaxy's at peace. Democracy is everywhere.
Nice.
They've restored it.
Democracy always fails in Star Wars. No matter what, the Republic always becomes corrupt. Old Republic, Fall of the Republic, New Republic in the Legends canon, New Republic in the current canon, they all become corrupt. Star Wars equals democracy bad. Okay, so mine will help me settle a conflict I've had about a movie I love since I was a kid.
Okay.
So Gonzo is my favorite Muppet. I've always liked the what are you? I'm a whatever. But of course, they eventually came out with he's an alien because of the film Muppets from Space, where you find out that Gonzo is an alien. I like that movie, and I want to keep that movie in the Muppets canon, but I want to change it from him being a Muppet, or from him being an alien, to him being possessed by the trickster god Loki. So instead of, at the end of the movie, instead of aliens, Gonzo's family coming to Earth and explaining his origin, they're going to do an exorcism and try to attempt to excise Loki from Gonzo, except they'll fail because he wouldn't be very much fun if they did that. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay.
All right, cool. Question for the listeners. We have our three-way battle between Hawkeye from Marvel Comics, Hawkeyes from One Piece, and Dr. Hawkeye from MASH. So definitely a comment on this, comment on our bonus episode from Thursday, or we do have a short on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff, just with that specific pairing. So let us know which Hawkeye would come out on top and why. I'm gonna reserve my opinion on this one because I'm a little biased, and also my voice is probably about done for the night.
Yeah.
Thank you to our patrons, Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron. And
Ben,
the Fourth,
Patron of Hope.
Woo, we love you, Ben. Ben? Ben Kenobi? No. Ben Solo? No. They did a Lego Star Wars where Ben Solo got his first kiss. Well, they were on vacation on the forest moon of Endor, and he had to save some Ewoks, and he got his kiss.
Okay.
So cute. And our newest patron, Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain.
And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or you can shop online at shop.horsemancomics.com. And there's this guy named Ron who works there.
I love Ron.
Yeah. He's all right.
He pays us to watch movies.
Pays us to watch bad movies.
Yeah. I was paid to watch this.
When are we announcing our new, what we're doing after Alien? Are we doing that now, or are we going to wait?
Oh, we can do it now. We'll just keep doing it.
He also told me the one after that, so I know the next two.
You know the next two.
Yeah, so are we announcing both?
Yeah, let's just do it.
Okay, so after we wrap up Alien, I'm not sure what we're going to call it. Should we call it the Deadathon or the Evil Deadathon? Or the Deadite-a-thon?
We'll work on it.
Okay. We are not doing the show. Just the 5 movies.
That's unfortunate.
I don't want to watch the show. It's 30 episodes long.
It is 30 episodes.
I don't want to watch it. And then the one after that, we are dipping into the world of Marvel Comics with the Dumpier. That's what it's called, right?
The Dumpier?
Isn't that what the half vampire, half...
Dampier.
Yeah. Blade!
Oh, that's cool. I love
Yeah,
Blade.
we're doing the Blade-a-thon.
God, I like 2 of those movies, too.
Wesley Snipes. Do you not like the third one?
I don't like the third one very much.
I've seen 0. Okay. My entire experience with Blade is episode 1 of the anime. That's all. I watched that, and that was it.
All right, okay, so we're not doing the TV show for that either.
No.
The second movie is directed by Guillermo del Toro, and it really feels like it is.
Ooh, I think I'll like that one.
Yeah.
I like me some del Toro. So yeah, that'll be our next 2 things. Everybody seems to be responding well to the taking an entire film franchise and just kind of dissecting it. Mm-hmm. So we'll probably keep doing more of that. If you have suggestions, reach out to us and we'll forward them over to Ron. Or if you're local and you know him, then you can harass him next time you see him at Horsemen Comics and Gaming.
Or you could join our Patreon and dictate what we watch.
Yeah, tell us what to do. If you want us to watch the Dumpier movies.
Somebody gets on, subscribes us to make us watch the most horrendous shit.
We already watched Fly.
Yeah, what's going to be worse than Fly?
Not much. If it's worse than Fly, it's probably illegal to watch.
Or should be.
All right. Thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials. And thank you for watching The Exorcist 3 with me.
It was a great time.
Stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.